Hello guys, welcome back. This is RandoGEEK. Alright, so we have an update coming here from Fierce Wireless. The link for this article will be down below in the description for you guys. But T-Mobile is reflecting on the 2.5 gigahertz and network slicing delays. Speaking on behalf of T-Mobile is Ulf Ewaldsen. Okay, he's made some statements about what's going on. He's giving us an idea of where everything is heading, what he thinks about the whole situation. All right, so in a wide-ranging fireside chat, T-Mobile President of Technology Ulf Ewaldsen took the stage of the Mobile Future Forward, which is the MFF conference, on Wednesday, urging U.S. lawmakers to restore the FCC's auction authority so that T-Mobile can get access to thousands of 2.5 gigahertz licenses it paid for in 2022. So while much of the program of Chetan Sharma Consulting's MMF was focused on artificial intelligence, AI, and its impact on society, Ewaldsen spoke about T-Mobile's progress in 5G, a discussion that doesn't get far without bringing up spectrum, of course. As we can see here, we have a picture of Ulf Ewaldsen. So last week, Ewaldsen posted a blog where he talked about the lapse in the FCC Spectrum Auction Authority and how T-Mobile, along with 4 former FCC general counsels, believe the FCC still has the authority to either grant the licenses or issue special temporary authority, which they call the STA, to use the spectrum. So, however, they also understand the FCC is concerned about getting its auction authority renewed as it should be. He reiterated that sentiment on Wednesday on the sidelines of MFF. He says, "I certainly think it's urgent if anything can be done from the FCC to help us get those licenses, and we understand their position. We're working with Congress to help them because they need support to be able to get their auction authority." This is what Ulf told Fierce. So, in the early days of network slicing, Ewaldsen joined T-Mobile back in 2019 after nearly 30 years at Ericsson. Earlier this year, he succeeded longtime T-Mobile network leader Neville Ray to head the whole networks division. He recalled being at Ericsson in 2012 when network slicing was just a concept among engineers in a meeting room. They were sitting in a conference room when somebody said, "It's like a slice across the entire network, isn't it? Like you cut out one piece of connectivity," he said. He says, "I still remember that meeting. I don't remember who said it, but it was like, yeah, let's call it slicing." So that was when they were starting to standardize 5G. Eventually, the industry rallied around the idea, and network slicing was supposed to be a big money maker for operators switching to 5G. But during the intervening years, network slicing failed to make an impact. It was a no-show until operators began launching 5G standalone networks and remains mostly something waiting for the wings today. So even at T-Mobile, which was the first to deploy a nationwide SA standalone network, there remains a lag. Where's the network slicing, he says. Ewaldsen filled in some of those blanks from his time at Ericsson. Again, what it required was the standalone core, and he says there was a surprisingly big movement for non-standalone core, which I think was driven by an unwillingness in part to not modernize the core networks, he said. Focus on the RAN development of 5G, plus it's complex to shift all the devices over, which need to be standalone as well. He also says it's been slower to happen in the industry, he acknowledged, adding, of course, that T-Mobile is now leading the way. So last week, T-Mobile Chief Technology Officer John Saw posted a blog saying T-Mobile is uniquely positioned to bring the dream of network slicing to life, delivering 5G benefits across the country. However, when asked about the general availability, Ewaldsen said it's not yet available everywhere and not just any enterprise can expect to get it. He also says we need to automate more, adding that devices still need to catch up. He was CTO of Ericsson when 5G was being developed, and it was part of the job to get the 5G standalones established. So why not make it all a lot easier, he says, including voice over new radio. After all, they had a seat at the table in terms of creating the actual specifications. He also says, we thought we did. Then at Mobile World Congress, in Barcelona a few years later, the operator community said that they wouldn't be able to invest in a completely new core. And he says, could you make it backwards compatible with 4G? And NSA was created to do just that, referring to non-standalone 5G, which relies on an LTE anchor. Most incumbent operators first rolled out 5G using NSA. So he says for now, he said it's very important the regulators understand network slicing is not about net neutrality. He says this is about the ability to get more if you need it, and the enterprise pays for it. He says it's going to be a very important task for the industry to educate everybody on what this really is and how it works, because it's such an instrumental part of the 5G deployment. So there we have it, guys. Basically, going over what he feels needs to be done, of course, for that 2.5 gigahertz spectrum to be released, and what he feels about the whole network slicing thing, which we've been hearing a lot about with T-Mobile. They're very highly invested in network slicing. So as far as the 2.5 gigahertz, this has been going on for a while now. We're going on almost 2 years where T-Mobile is not able to get their hands on that 2.5 gigahertz of spectrum that they paid for. They won in an auction and it belongs to them. However, they can't use it. So there's a massive amount of difficulty and stress for them, not to mention the money that was invested and, the amount of stress and money that they're losing now because they can't deploy. They can't use that 2.5 gigahertz to fine tune the network and deploy, more 5G with it. So, we touched base on this just a few days ago. There was another update and, they're not wrong. And then we had Senators Ted Cruz, he was involved with, pleading to the FCC to try to release that too, whether or not we believe it's to get, for some of these senators to have better service in their hometown, possibly, but, a lot going on. So, the FCC is saying that they can't do it without their license. So I don't know where this is going to head, but, it's been a big disruption for T-Mobile. This is just one of the many things that T-Mobile is dealing with. We went over that recently too. They're running into a lot of issues, with the 2.5, the 800, megahertz with Dish. That's a huge problem that they have. So a lot of money being lost at the moment for T-Mobile because of these issues that they're running into. And that's the thing, right? The more that they're taking on, the more problems that they're facing. So I guess that's just part of growing, right? Expanding the network and trying to get bigger. You're going to run into these issues. There's no risk. There's no reward without risk, should I say. So, it's a crazy time for T-Mobile. I don't know. I'd like to see how this is all going to play out. So clearly the FCC should be willing to work with T-Mobile in some way. I mean, they have to do what they got to do, or there has to be some kind of way around it, for T-Mobile to not lose that money, to not lose the 2.5 gigahertz licenses. There's got to be some kind of way to, accommodate them. So we'll keep following this story. It's ongoing developing story that's being dragged out for, I don't even know how much longer they can drag the situation. But any updates, we will be sure to notify you guys. And as far as the network slicing, big thing for T-Mobile too. So we'll see where all this goes. All right, guys, as always, thanks so much for stopping by and watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.